I use a Danish oil finish on my boxes. There are many more elaborate finishes. There are many that work as well, but this one has been very satisfactory for my box making. And you know, there are many people that practice finishing as an art form in and of itself. And my own interest has been more in the design of things and the joinery of things. So when I find a finish that's worked well for me, I have a tendency to stick with it. So I'm using the brush on the inside just because it's a little more difficult to reach those surfaces with a rag. And so I'll just brush into the corners. In any place that I can't reach very well. First application, I want to get a lot of oil on it. The second coat, which I usually do after a 24-hour wait, I'll put on a little more sparingly. The purpose of the sticks is to provide air circulation on all sides. Otherwise, the box that I'm making would sit in a pool. That would be messy. Your first oiling, you really want to get the surface saturated. This is really one of the fun parts of it because you really see the wood come to life. And it doesn't happen again, you know, once it gets to this nice dark color. So it's kind of like a very nice moment in the transition of the box. It goes from being rather dull to much more lively, and you start to see some of the effects of your choices of woods and the actual beauty of the wood. Sometimes it's a little disappointing because it's also when you'll see things emerge that you won't be real happy about, like glue spots that didn't get sanded away. And on a box like this, sometimes you'll find them around the miter keys. There are all kinds of Danish oil finishes similar to this. One that a lot of my students have told me they use is called waterlock. There's a minwax finish called antique oil that has a very similar effect. I've also used things like shellac. One of the advantages about this particular finish and also with minwax antique oil is that you can use a spray urethane over the finish. This one's dry already. The finish isn't dry. What I mean is that the appearance of it is dry already because a spalted wood really absorbs oil quickly. And so in order to get it to come out to a fairly uniform finish, you have to really apply much more heavily to the spalted wood. You see there, this is the more sound wood here, and this is where it's more spalted, and you can just see how much more absorbent the spalted wood is. One of the wonderful things about the Danish oil is it allows the variations in the colors of the wood to emerge, and so this sassafras, you know, has a distinctive color. The walnut also has this distinctive color. And while they're darkened in the same way that they would be if they were just spritzed with a water bottle. Each of the boxes we've made for this video gets the same finishing treatment. This pecan will soak it up. It's been about an hour since I did the application of the first coat of oil to this. So now it's time to rub it out. And the idea of rubbing it out is not to completely dry the surface, but to distribute the solids that are in the finish so there's an even luster all over. I want to do a good job getting down in the corners. Okay. So now I'm ready to do the last oiling on this box. It's been sitting overnight. Looks like the oil finish dried pretty well. I don't need to use a brush this time. If I do, I get too much oil down into the little corners and crevices, and it'll take me a long time to get everything dried out. You notice I didn't have to do any sanding or anything like that between coats because nothing in this finish will raise the grain. So that makes it real easy. Let it sit for a while before rubbing it out to even the finish. I usually wait 45 minutes or so. Then it'll sit overnight and we can finish them with the hinges and pulls.